I'm here to support this bill for one reason, and that is because so many look at this and all they see is something they don't understand. My son was born with the precipice, which is cranial dislocation. There's only been about 35 cases ever reported in history. He is the only one out of those 35 cases that is still living. His prognosis was terminal, and they didn't expect him to live throughout the night. So, as far as medically, there really wasn't anything that they could promise to do for my son. And along with his precipice and everything else that he has overcame, he does have severe debilitating epilepsy. My son has had several surgeries, if it will help him other than hinder them, if there's not anything that I feel that could hurt him more than help him with the surgery, I'm for it. However, there are only so many surgeries that they can possibly do to help a child with epilepsy. My son's brain is inoperable, simply because they can't compare it to anything else. There's no one like him. And he was having well over 300 seizures a day. He's had seizures visibly since about 4 or 5 months. And every medication, everything that they have done has not worked. He's on the strongest medications he can be, which is Sulfamate and the Onfi that he currently takes now. The Onfi I was having to get from Canada for 3 years before it was available in the U.S. for my son. So that came out of my pocket, which, is something any parent would do. Well, Trey was still having up to about 200 plus seizures a day after they doubled his dose of both his medications. He has been up to 5 medications at once, and nothing has helped with seizures. Nothing. It might help for a week or two. They'll up his dose and he'll sleep for 3 days, or he won't be able to go to the bathroom, urinate for over 24 hours. And in that case, I have to monitor his liquid intake and outtake so that I don't have to catheterize him. That is one of the side effects of Sulfamate. This, once my son had gotten to where there was nothing else they could do for him, we opted to have a VNS surgery that is placed at the base of your neck and attached to your nerves. It shocks him every 20 seconds for 7-second duration. He also has a magnet, which if you paid attention, you probably seen me run it across because he had a few seizures well ago. He's having one right now. I've watched my son die twice in my arms. And I also do have 2 other children. He has 2 older brothers, and they were just fine. I had no complications with my pregnancy. I didn't take any drugs. I didn't, smoke anything. I didn't drink anything. I didn't even take Tylenol whenever I had a migraine. But, as I was unaware of and found out, sometimes God just has other plans. So we have to deal with them. And after he had the VNS placement, his seizures were still up to over 120 a day. I was having to resuscitate Trey about 6 times a week. There were a few instances where I had to resuscitate him up to 3 times a day. And once we went back in November to see his doctor, she basically told me that there was nothing else she could do for him as far as his VNS and as far as his medication. He was at the highest dose that they could possibly give him. Trace, he's my son, so of course I'm going to do everything in my power to help keep him alive. And in this instance, where a lot of people say, is this life or death, or do people just want to get stoned? Well, if somebody wants to get stoned, that's up to them, but I'm here because my son needs this. And this is one of the only legal CBDs that you can get in our state. Dr. Bertrand from Children's Hospital in St. Louis actually is the one who gave me the website and said that 3 of her other patients were currently on this drug. Well, actually, it's not even a drug, it's a supplement. It's not for his seizures, it's just a general CBD, no THC contained at all. It doesn't get him high, and unlike his medicines, he's had absolutely no side effects. This has helped him so much more than anything else could have. It took his seizures from 120 a day plus, because I don't count, I count them from about 6 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock in the evening and double it so that I get an average. So I don't have an exact number of how many seizures he's having, but that's how I come up with my estimate if you like to know. And now he has around 50 or below. And I've only had to resuscitate him about once a week since then, if that. Maybe he's been on it for a month and 2 weeks, and I've had to resuscitate him 4 times. That is it. So while he still has seizures, this has helped my son more than any other strong medication, more than any other surgery. And this is not specifically for his seizures. This is just a generic, CBD oil, general. It has the plant that it's derived from isn't bred for seizures, like so many of these other plants are bred for specific illnesses. Just like they breed corn, just like they breed flowers, you breed the plant to get whatever properties you want from it. And you can breed out the THC, which they've done in the Charlotte's Web strand of what I would like to get for my son, but it's illegal here. So there's so much stigma on this, I think, that people don't realize, the people like me and the people like my son that don't have any other options. And yeah, I would move to Colorado tomorrow if I could afford to. But the fact is, I just had to drop out of SEMA in my second year prerequisites for my BSN in nursing because of my son's seizures. I don't want to watch him die again. I'm sorry. I just have to do what I have to do for my son. And I think that if more people are educated about this and actually do get the information that they need, then a lot of people's minds would be changed. I was against it at first until I researched it, until I, looked at statistics, until I looked at every other drug out there. And yes, tobacco's legal. That's fine. But look at how many people that die every day. Over or around 5 million people die every day worldwide from tobacco, yet it's legal. How many people have overdosed on marijuana and died? How many people have overdosed on opiates or heroin and died? Yet marijuana is a Schedule 1 drug, which is worse than heroin or cocaine. And that to me is ridiculous. And I'm not here to bash anyone's beliefs because that's completely up to you, and that's fine. I just would like you to take into consideration that this isn't for a bunch of stoners wanting to get high. This is for kids and others out there who have no other option. And this is our last hope.
Questions for this witness? Representative Florida.
To Mr.
Proceed. Identification, first name.
Brandy.
Brandy, thank you for your courageous testimony. It's clear that you very much love your child and are here to advocate for him. I'm a little bothered by the comprehensive nature of this bill. Because I see these as 2 separate issues, medical marijuana and decriminalization. And you kind of raise a third issue, because you're not suggesting that your child would gain anything medically from smoking marijuana. You're suggesting that there are derivatives that could be available if we loosen the laws.
Yes. Every medication that you take, if it is not chemically produced in a lab, it comes from a plant of some sort.
Sure.
Just like any other plant, they can take the chemicals or whatever properties that they need, and they can breed these plants for specific purposes. Like they can breed a plant that might help somebody with cancer that has a high THC and a low CBD, to where they can breed a plant like the Charlotte's Web, which has, such a small amount of THC or none at all, and just CBD. So these people can't get high off of a no THC content. Although with the THC in the drug, there are several benefits, for that also. It's just you have to treat each medicine to each disease as is, and that's all that we're asking for, is the option. We're not trying to force anybody.
And my point is that by coalescing these 2 issues, medical marijuana and decriminalization, medical marijuana, which it seems like the folks in the state are very close to being ready for, and decriminalization, which they appear not to be, that we're doing a disservice to people like your son and others that could benefit medically. And in your case, it's not even smokable marijuana. It would just be easing the laws with regards to derivatives, which we already have Marinol and Dronabinol that
Right, but like Marinol is not, it's synthetic, is it not?
Right, it is.
And my personal belief is anything synthetic is not natural.
Okay.
And to me, anything natural is usually.
But this, because there's no THC in it, is legal, and we could ease the laws to allow the drugs that you're talking about to be legal, to be prescribed for someone in your son's situation. So we are blurring the lines a little bit by having such a comprehensive bill in front of us. Would you agree?
Somewhat, but they go hand in hand. Like with a lot of the medications, without being fully legal or without having some sort, I completely agree that it does need to be controlled. It needs to be monitored highly. But there are a lot of medicines that you might not approve of if certain laws aren't passed. Like there are people.
We could pass a law that allowed medical marijuana, medical uses of marijuana, but not decriminalize. Okay. And that's my point. Is
that's fine.
I'd love to do something to help your son. I've moved a long way on the spectrum when it comes to medical uses of marijuana, but I worry that we're not doing a disservice to folks like you that are struggling with diseases that could be aided by marijuana and derivatives of marijuana by sort of taking such a big bite out of the apple right now.
I agree. I think that somewhat it does hinder, what some people are trying to do. But like I said, with anything, it's one of those things that kind of, it has a relationship with each other. Like if you do, I just think that a lot of people.
There's a stigma attached to it, whether it's medical or.
There is.
I agree with that.
Like I said, I was completely against it at first, especially until I researched it, which is about all I've done for the past month since I found out about it, because we weren't aware of anything else. And I look at all these other drugs, and not just medicinal, just everything out there. And there's so much more, like I said, around 5 million people die a year worldwide from tobacco.
Sure.
And how many people die from marijuana? So that doesn't necessarily, I'm not against it, but that's not why I'm here.
Right. Well, you're very brave to share your story with you, and I really appreciate you doing so. Thank you.
I appreciate your time very much.
Representative Higdon.
Bruce Lee Park.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Madam, I agree with my colleague 100%. Write it down. The prescription of marijuana would not be objectionable to me whatsoever.
Thank you.
One thing that we've got to, we're talking about people that are smoking and stuff. When I was a young man, which was many, many years ago, he didn't go there. I thought he was going to make a comment. When we went to the theater to watch movies, our movie stars were smoking cigarettes and drinking whiskey, and so that just made it more attractive to us. And what I fear is that if we decriminalize this, we're going to make it attractive, and not near as extensively as and as recreational for party substance. I know that's not what you're here for. And that's what I don't want to do. Is I do not want to bring anything else that's going to create a negative impact on our young children as smoking and drinking did in my era. I smoke and I drink.
Well, like I said,
probably something I don't really want to do, but that's the way life was when I was there. So what I'm saying is that to prescriptize or to control the product to be assigned to us as a medical solution to our problems, and this prescription would be 100%. I would be 100% in favor of that.
Thank you. I don't think that it'll per se make it more attractive. I think a lot of people probably do stuff like that. Like I know a lot of young kids drink just because, you know, hey, I'm cool, I'm not 21, I'm gonna drink.
Well,
So
and I
you do
understand
have
that,
the
but you don't
stigma
want to be
like that.
driving down the highway
No,
and all of a sudden it's
yeah.
time for your medication and you just fire one
No,
up.
I don't think that that's appropriate.
Everybody else in the car is going to get the same medication that you are,
Well,
with a certain degree, right?
if you are smoking,
Secondhand
then
smoke?
anybody gets secondhand
All
smoke.
right, thank you, that's,
Thank you. I was just saying that, you know, I think that secondhand smoke might not be as bad as the other.
I understand.
Is there a Heidi? Oh, is there any other questions? I'm sorry. Representative Ford.
Mr. Chairman, most of the folks here know, but the people that are testifying don't know. I come from one of the districts where, you know, I can support something like this and I slap me on the back and say, thank you. It's the beauty of being a Democrat. But I want to, what that also does is allows me to be a bit more blunt than my friends from conservative Northern Jefferson County or Buchanan County. And I think they were very kind in saying, we're getting educated on this, and we are glad that folks like you are stepping forward. But having this discussion about legalizing marijuana sets you back. And actually you have to be careful, because it's,
Like I said,
stop defending the legalization, because that's where you're going to lose people.
I'm here.
I know, I'm just giving you friendly advice. And I mean, the committee is made up mostly of retired law enforcement. Most of our General Assembly is made up, well, out of 163 folks, there are 52 Democrats. I'm bad at math, that tells you how many Republicans we have. That would make you think that taxing something like this and moving forward would be something that would be a core Republican tenet, but it's not. And it's not because of the moral stigma. And what you are doing, and I'm glad you're here doing it, is trying to move us from the moral bad of weed drug to, okay, it's a drug, but it's a drug that helps people. It's a drug that can cure certain seizure disorders that others can't.
You can't give me money in committee. It's against the rules.
You understand, you've done the research, but most of us here haven't. And most of us here, if you were to even ask the questions of the difference between hemp versus medical versus total legalization, everybody thinks legalize weed, what? And it truly is an issue of education.
I agree. I think that, you know, with anything, this is so political and so stigmatized. You know, there are a lot of people that are afraid to ask about it. They're afraid to look into it. And I think that most people need to be educated about it, because it is another option. You know, and medically especially, this can break through so many different areas. And so,
But again, you do understand that the issue before us today is legalization.
yeah, part of it.
And so, I mean, so don't get discouraged when you leave and we vote it down. I mean, I think you're setting the stage for a much better discussion on an issue that, I mean, we joke about Colorado where they've done legalization, but we forget Colorado had a very strict regulatory scheme when it comes to medical marijuana. Barcodes tracking your seeds from plant to growing to try and stem the moral perception badness of legalization. So it's a journey, you know, and again, thank you for being here.
One of many battles.
It is. And again, thank you for your courage. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.